In November 2021, a Canadian student embarked on a long-awaited trip to the United Kingdom, hoping to meet her dream boyfriend. What seemed like the perfect online romance turned into a horrifying tragedy with fatal consequences. Ashley Wadsworth was born on July 25, 2002, in the small Canadian town of Vernon. She was raised in an ordinary family by Christy Gendron and Ken Wadsworth. Unfortunately, her parents divorced when Ashley was very young. The girl remained under the care of her father, who put a lot of effort into raising her. Despite the divorce, both parents continued to take an active part in their daughter's life, surrounding her with love and support. Ashley grew up to be an extremely purposeful child, dedicating almost all her free time to learning. She was distinguished by discipline and the ability to carefully plan her daily tasks. The girls saw this as a path to a successful future. In addition to studying, Ashley was fond of skiing. The combination of mental and physical efforts contributed to her harmonious development as a sociable and successful individual. Ashley demonstrated remarkable talents for her age. She was fluent in English, French, and Spanish, demonstrating an open outlook on life. The girl dreamed of obtaining a law degree. These plans were quite realistic because at the age of 18, she was already admitted to Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops. Moreover, Ashley was quite religious and joined the Mormon Church before reaching adulthood. When Ashley turned 11, she met a boy named Jack Sepple on the internet. Despite the 4-year age difference, the teenagers quickly found common ground. Jack lived in Great Britain, thousands of kilometers away from Ashley, but thanks to social networks, distance did not stand in the way of their communication. The young man made an impression of a polite and caring conversationalist. To maintain constant contact despite the 4-hour time difference, Ashley and Jack even synchronized their daily schedules. At first, they communicated as friends, but over time, a mutual attraction developed between them. Ashley was delighted with her new internet boyfriend. The couple often talked via video calls, exchanged photos and videos. This gave the girl a feeling of being special. In her eyes, an older guy seemed like a great catch. Jack spared no effort in demonstrating his affection for Ashley. He often sent her gifts by mail and gave the impression of a reliable partner. The young man constantly invited Ashley to come visit him, even promising to marry her. Their relationship seemed to have reached an incredible depth. Jack enthusiastically talked about their happy future together. And Ashley believed these promises. Unlike the intellectually gifted Ashley, her internet boyfriend could not boast of outstanding mental abilities. He did not study anywhere, did not work, and seemed to have no ambitions. Although Ashley was unaware of this, there were strong reasons to believe that Jack was communicating with other girls in parallel, looking for a partner. In fact, he was cheating on Ashley, but the girl was so carried away by the virtual romance and madly in love that she did not even entertain such a thought. Ashley passionately wanted to meet Jack as soon as possible and transfer their relationship into real life. However, due to her young age, she could not take this step on her own. Her parents strictly forbade the girl to meet with the internet acquaintance until she reached adulthood. So their virtual romance lasted for about 8 years. When Ashley turned 19, she, with the consent of her parents, decided to go to Great Britain. To implement this plan, the girl had to take a year-long academic leave from the university and save money for a long time for the cherished trip. Ashley intended to spend 6 months in Great Britain on a tourist visa with the prospect of extending it. This trip was also seen as an opportunity to travel and learn about the culture of another country. However, it would be reckless to immediately embark on such a long journey. Therefore, the girl first made several shorter trips with her family to gain travel experience. In particular, she visited Mexico and California. Ashley's parents disapproved of their daughter's intention to visit the internet acquaintance, hoping that with age, Ashley would change her mind. However, the girl was adamant in her decision to meet her beloved, with whom she had been communicating for 8 years and perceived almost as a family member. Ashley's parents were extremely concerned that their daughter would find herself on another continent with a little-known person. However, the girl was unshakable in her decision, and due to her coming of age, they could no longer forbid or prevent her plans. The family could only hope that everything would go as Ashley had dreamed. The father saw his daughter off at the airport, not even realizing that this was their last meeting. The girl set off into the unknown, unaware of the dark past of her 23-year-old chosen one. It turned out that Jack already had 8 convictions for 12 different offenses related to domestic. Moreover, his ex-girlfriends were so afraid for their lives that after breaking up with him, they turned to the police and obtained court orders prohibiting him from approaching them. The girls complained about Jack's cruel treatment and tried to protect themselves from him with restraining orders. Even the guy's own mother, 55-year-old Tracy Dalton, was forced to resort to similar measures after her son attacked her in 2014. During the attack in his own home, Jack seriously damaged his mother's car, smashed windows and doors. For this, he received a suspended sentence. The court forbade him from approaching his mother and her property for 5 years. However, in 2018, Jack violated this order and was sent to a juvenile detention center for 8 weeks. Since then, he faced the threat of real 5-year imprisonment in case of repeated violation of the established restrictions. Interestingly, Jack never conflicted with men, his victims were always women. And this was not accidental. Representatives of the weaker sex could not give a decent rebuff to the offender. Unfortunately, Ashley had no idea about the criminal past of her internet lover. On November 12, 2021, she flew to the small British town of Chelmsford straight into the arms of a dangerous criminal who was hiding under the guise of a respectable guy. After 8 years of online communication, the girl trusted Jack so much that, without hesitation, she agreed to settle in his one-room apartment. The thought of a hotel or rented housing did not even cross her mind, so strong were Ashley's feelings and trust in her partner. At first, everything seemed perfect. The couple traveled to picturesque places, visited local sites, took joint photos and posted them on social networks, demonstrating their happiness to the whole world. They even got a kitten named Winston and took care of it together. Ashley radiated joy. During video calls with relatives, the girl tirelessly talked about how kind, sweet, attentive, and caring Jack was. The guy diligently maintained this image of an ideal partner. But in reality, he was unemployed, had no aspirations, and was constantly short of money. This reality clearly clashed with young Ashley's ideas about her chosen one. Soon, the girl realized that Jack was not at all who he pretended to be and was completely unsuitable for her. But she found herself trapped. She could not simply end the relationship and leave him. After all, Ashley lived in Jack's apartment under his watchful eye and control, unable to escape. The perfect romance was rapidly crumbling. Jack was irritated by this and became increasingly inadequate and aggressive. At Christmas, his mental state sharply deteriorated due to an overdose of medication. Ashley called an ambulance, and the guy was taken to a psychiatric hospital, where he was diagnosed with narcissistic and paranoid personality disorders. Upon returning from the clinic, Jack began using his diagnosis to manipulate his girlfriend. He played on pity, provoking more and more frequent quarrels. Ashley even sent recordings of these conflicts to her friends. That's how much her roommate's behavior scared her. Her friends advised the girl to get away from this unbalanced guy as soon as possible. But it was not that simple. Jack changed the passwords to Ashley's social media accounts and messengers, cutting her off from communication with her loved ones. He constantly monitored her correspondence, hacking all means of communication. Ashley's close friends were shocked and they found out that Jack had once hit her on the head. However, the girl decided to forgive him for this incident, partly because she was under the complete control of a mentally unstable despot. With each passing day, the situation only worsened. Realizing the futility of this toxic relationship, Ashley secretly began collecting evidence of their conflicts on her phone. In addition to audio recordings of quarrels, she regularly photographed the traces of beatings, numerous bruises that Jack left on her body. When the girl was ready to leave him, the manipulator resorted to blackmail, staging a suicide attempt. Thanks to his total control over his partner, he managed to keep her with him once again. Their relationship was rapidly plummeting into the abyss, and it was unlikely that a bright future awaited them. On February 1, 2022, one of Jack Sepple's neighbors heard a girl screaming through the wall. Upon entering the corridor, he saw a crying Ashley standing on the doorstep of the apartment. She told him that her boyfriend had cruelly abused their kitten by throwing the animal against the wall. The girl was in shock because she had never encountered such cruelty in her life. According to Ashley, after torturing the kitten, Jack attacked her and smashed her phone. The reason for this outburst of rage was an absolutely trivial thing. The guy caught his girlfriend scrolling through a news feed on her phone, where she accidentally came across a photo of a naked girl. He accused Ashley of being depraved and began taking out his anger on her. Jack flatly refused to listen to any excuses and seemed to have simply lost his mind out of jealousy for no reason. The frightened girl managed to tell the neighbors what had happened and admitted that she feared for her life due to her partner's unexpected bouts of aggression. However, when the residents of the house offered to talk to Jack, Ashley begged them not to call the police so as not to create unnecessary problems for the guy. The neighbors agreed and simply had an educational talk with the young man, which seemed to calm him down a bit. Jack assured that he would not harm anyone else, and his behavior was a regrettable mistake. But in reality, this turned out to be another manipulation on his part. After these events, Ashley informed her family that she had finally decided to return home. She was tired of the unhealthy relationship and her chosen one's constant outbursts of anger. The family was incredibly happy to hear this news because they understood that their girl had found herself in an extremely dangerous situation. The grandmother immediately booked a plane ticket to Canada for Ashley for February 3, 2022. Unfortunately, the girl did not live to see that day. Around noon on February 2, 2022, two of Ashley's new friends from the Mormon Church in Britain received a message from her about serious problems. The girl asked to be picked up and provided the address where she was. She sent this message from hacked accounts, signing with her own name, since Jack controlled all her online profiles. However, none of her friends could respond promptly to the call for help because they were at a church service. When a few hours later they finally became available, they received another message, this time from Ashley's main account. It said that the girl was fine. This seemed extremely strange to her friends. Although the message was sent from Ashley's number, it did not correspond to her usual manner of communication at all, which could not but arouse reasonable suspicions. After all, her friends knew that Ashley was planning to escape from the domestic tyrant and was on the brink of despair. That is why they decided to personally check if she was really okay. Arriving at the specified address, the friends found themselves near Jack's apartment. No one responded to the knocking on the door, although footsteps could be heard from inside. After a short consultation, Ashley's friends decided to contact the police so that law enforcement officers could check on the girl. They called the emergency service number 999 and reported their concerns. A police squad arrived at the scene around 4 p.m. The officers tried to negotiate with the owner of the dwelling to voluntarily open the doors, but to no avail. At 4:13 p.m., the police were forced to break down the doors. Upon entering the bedroom, they saw Jack Sepple, and next to him on the bed lay Ashley's mutilated body. The girl had become a victim of a brutal knife attack. Experts counted dozens of stab wounds on her body. The crime scene resembled a bloody massacre. The police immediately called for an ambulance, but the paramedics could no longer help. The girl showed no signs of life. At 4:38 p.m., she was officially pronounced dead. Forensic experts established that in addition to multiple knife wounds, the killer had also strangled his victim. However, the direct cause of death was still the knife blows. There were at least 90 of them in total. Traces found on the victim's wrists indicated that she had desperately tried to defend herself from the attacker, fighting for her life until the very end. The vast majority of the blows fell on the chest area, which led to damage to almost all of Ashley's vital organs, including the heart, lungs, and liver. This fact pointed to the killer's deliberate intention to take the girl's life, and not just to inflict bodily harm. In addition to fresh injuries, numerous bruises of varying degrees of prescription were found on the victim's body. Apparently, the girl was regularly and methodically abused. Even before the arrival of law enforcement officers, Jack Sepple managed to post a joint photo with Ashley on his social media profile, accompanying it with an ominous caption, "Mine forever." Such behavior fully corresponded to the psychological portrait of the killer. Many maniacs and serial killers expressed their pathological sense of unity or ownership of their victims in a similar way. The police officers quickly discovered the murder weapon, a bloody knife. It was sent for examination. DNA samples on the blade completely matched the genetic material of the murdered girl. Jack Sepple's fingerprints were also found on the knife handle, confirming his involvement in the crime. There was no one else in the dwelling except for the suspect. The totality of the collected evidence unequivocally pointed to the guilt of the sadist. Jack was arrested. At first, he refused to give any testimony, but on September 7, 2022, he pleaded guilty. This happened after a series of 3 interrogations, during which the suspect did not show any emotions or remorse for what he had done. A psychiatric examination appointed by the court confirmed the presence of certain deviations in the killer, but generally recognized him as sane and capable of standing trial. Upon careful examination of the criminal's mobile phone, the police found a video recording made around 12:45 p.m. on the day of the tragedy. In it, Jack, dressed in bloody clothes, stands against the background of Ashley's mutilated body. He addresses the victim's sister Haley with apologies. Fortunately, the inhumane man never dared to send this chilling video to the addressee, sparing her from a nervous breakdown. The trial of the maniac took place on October 10, 2022. Despite the irrefutability of the evidence, it was presented in full at the trial. The accused confirmed his guilt but did not show any signs of remorse or even regret for what he had done. One of Jack's ex-girlfriends, testifying in court, characterized him as an unpredictable, pathologically jealous, and insecure subject. According to the prosecution, the motive for the murder was a conversation during which Ashley informed Jack about her intention to end their toxic relationship and return home. The girl had even begun preparing him for her departure. Upon hearing about his beloved's final decision to leave him, the guy lost control of himself. In a frenzy of rage, Jack brutally took Ashley's life. The parents of the murdered girl were utterly devastated by grief and no longer harbored any illusions about the punishment for her tormentor. Ashley's grandfather, in his speech in court, blamed himself for once supporting his granddaughter's decision to go to Great Britain. After all, he considered this country a model of lawfulness and safety. The elderly man had no idea what a nightmare this trip would turn into. The grandmother of the deceased had a hard time experiencing her involuntary role in the tragedy. She bought a plane ticket for Ashley for February 3, not February 2. The poor woman blamed herself that this delay could have cost her granddaughter her life. The victim's older sister grieved that Ashley was not destined to be a bridesmaid at her recent wedding. This opportunity was stolen from them by Jack. Despite this, the family was sincerely grateful to the killer, at least for the fact that he admitted his guilt and spared the loved ones the painful need to prove it in court. By the verdict of the court, 23-year-old Jack Sepple was sentenced to life imprisonment with the right to early release no earlier than after 23 years and 6 months of serving his sentence. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.